Happy hump day, everybody. Just one more day till the Masters. Welcome to Brown Bag Bets, powered by BetSperts, where your daily dose of quick hit handicapping and sports betting picks. Joining me, as always, looking lovely in front of a nice leather chair there, Andy. How's it going?
Yep, I am in the study today. I moved the cameras out here, but it's going great. I was just talking. It is kind of my Friday because tomorrow is just watching golf all day long. So today is going to be very golf heavy. We won't get too long here. We'll get right into it. Real quick though, to thank our sponsor WinBet. You can make your Masters bets, even a $500 risk-free bet. We've talked about going with some underdogs. Most outright prices are underdogs. You could put an outright price and do a $500 risk-free bet on Bryson, Jordan, whoever you want. So do look for that. The links are in our description in the on the Brown Bag Bets and our pinned tweet, on our Brown Bag Bets Twitter account. And then, without further ado, bringing in a repeat guest to talk Masters with us today. You know him as the Bear, Chris Felica of ESPN. You can find him on Twitter at Chris Felica. That's nice and easy. How we doing today?
We're doing well. Just getting ready for. You were talking about it being your Friday. It's kind of my Friday as well because Daily Wager is on the air tonight, and then we don't have another show the rest of the week. So I get to sit back and watch some golf just like everybody else. But actually, I'm a little bummed because it's actually the first Masters I will not be at since 2011. So a little weird being sitting at home here for the first time in 9-10 years.
You're lucky the coverage is good enough, yeah.
I couldn't hear you talking over each other.
Oh, yeah, we both went.
Oh, sorry. I was going to say, are you going to make yourself a pimento and cheese sandwich?
Yeah, that's a good idea. The running joke was like the over/under on the number of trips you would make to the Fresh Market across the street from Augusta National on the way home to grab some dinner or just lunches and breakfast for the house. So yeah, I might have to run up to the Fresh Market up here in Connecticut and grab a little pimento cheese and maybe bring a little go to Chick-fil-A tomorrow morning, get a chicken biscuit for breakfast.
Love it.
Do the tradition.
I did have some friends who bet quite a bit of golf. They ordered the Masters package where they would send you like a pound of pimento cheese and a pound of egg salad and stuff, and even like the chips and everything. And it was pretty. So they're having like a party at their own house with all this stuff. So you I mean, that kind of leads me into my first question. So you were out in November. You were down there.
Yep.
That's a big talking point this week. How much are you waiting what happened in November? Because I've been back and forth on it. I've looked at like, oh man, this guy really did well in November. It's like, man, 10 minutes ago I just said I'm throwing November out for a different guy. Like, where should I stand on this?
I think it helps in terms of the sight lines and getting a walk and a visual around the course to kind of familiarize yourself with it and get over that initial awe. Like if you were a first timer last year, like a guy like Victor Perez, it was his first time playing the Master. Like it helps from that standpoint, but the course is going to play completely differently. There was a ton of weather that week. Rain and temperatures really softened the course up. This course, what you're going to see this weekend is going to resemble nothing like that. These greens are going to be lightning fast after what's happened the last couple of years with the score fest. And those scores getting up there 18, 19 under par winning. I think the course and the groundskeepers are going to fight back this week. And I've heard from people down there that the winning score could be somewhere in the vicinity of 9, 10, 11 under par. It would probably be about as high as it might go this week. So I don't think people who don't want to see 18, 19 under par win, I think they're going to be much happier this week.
I kind of fall into that crowd. And I guess it's probably the next question here. I saw like Bamford tweeted this out, and I've seen it from a couple other sources. And I hate this too. I hate this in the NFL when people start talking about weather like a week ahead of time. I said, man, it always changes. We're just never going to know. Like you're just taking your life into your own hands when you start betting on weather a week ahead of time. So it's looking like some of this rain that we talked about might not hit. We might have drier conditions. And I think coupled with just the fact that somebody went 20 under in November, I do think we might see a drier, faster course. I mean, are there some guys that you're just crossing off your lists as far as outrights, matchups, anything, just based on how the conditions are going to play?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to be a little contrarian here in terms of I'm going to be looking to play against Jordan Spieth in a lot of these matchups and head-to-heads and some of these market, just because, it's great that he won in Texas last week against what was kind of a watered down field. It's great that he's been playing better lately, but winning in Texas this week in a watered down field a week ahead of a major is a lot different than contending again in a major for the first time in 3-4 years. The conditions are going to be completely different. The shot design, what he had last week as opposed to this week. What worked well last week isn't necessarily going to work well again this week. So I think the fact that his price has come down to whatever it is, like I saw you can get Justin Thomas in a matchup against him at -125, which what is that price 2 weeks ago? Like -180, 190? So has been way too much. And I think there is some good value on some of these head-to-heads. With especially when you talk about the group of players that he's being pitted against in these head-to-heads.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, are there any other top players that you're looking at that look overpriced to you? You know, you look at the top of the leaderboard. Obviously, it's Dustin Johnson, Bryson, Justin Thomas. I think everybody actually feels probably pretty good about them. You know, John Rahm probably is competitive here. We have Spieth. What about guys like Rory, Cantlay, Xander? I guess that's kind of the next group there. Anybody else stick out to you as
Schauffele's someone I would play like in the top 10, top 20 markets. Rory would be someone I'd be looking to potentially fade in the right situation. I just don't know about his head right now. I think he's a little worried about Bryson in terms of like he's kind of re-altered his swing and experimented just because of the distance that Bryson's getting, and it's really taken away from what made him a great player and the mental pressure of him every time he goes to Augusta National. He is looking to complete the career Grand Slam. So that is, he hasn't contended the year since he blew up in the back nine, 2011. So maybe he'll put together another backdoor top 10 here, but I think you potentially could get some good prices if maybe you're looking at over/under round scores, especially early in the week and head-to-heads. And another guy actually played to miss the cut. And again, you got to remember, there are only 88 players here, so not a ton of guys missed the cut. But Bubba Watson to miss the cut was like plus 225. And if you go back over his last 15 majors, he's missed the cut in 8 of them. He's missed the cut in 3 of his last 5 stroke play events on tour this year. I don't know if he's just stopped. I don't want to stop putting in the work, but it seems like his game is far away from the level that it was a couple of years back when he was winning the Masters. So I think at 225, I think maybe he'll score well enough of the par 5s to hang around for the weekend. But I'm willing to take a chance at better than 2-1 that he doesn't.
Yeah, that was a good segue to my next question. There's also guys who get a lot of credit for having won here in the past or having done well. Bubba Watson's a perfect example. Do you think there's anyone else in this field that's maybe giving a little too much credit for past performance at this course?
I think maybe one player for like 1 year is Matthew Fitzpatrick. I mean, he had the one backdoor top 10 in like 2016 or 2017 it might have been, where he shot like 67 on the final round to break into the top 10. But since then, he hasn't even had a top 20 finish. So I think he's someone who really has never contended in a major. Like, his only top 10 in a major was that top 10 in the 2016 Masters. So I'd be looking to – he's someone who's got a little bit of like a sneaky, like dark horse type potential. But I don't like him on this course at all. There was actually a bet on William Hill where I had to write my column for ESPN.com on Webb Simpson, Colin Morikawa, Matthew Fitzpatrick tournament threesome group, who would win that group. And Webb Simpson was plus 175. And I think the way Webb approaches this course as like a 2-shot, second shot golf course, I think against Fitzpatrick, who hasn't had a ton of success here, and Morikawa, who had the one go around last year, and his putter is kind of up in the air from time to time. I thought Webb at plus 175 was a really nice price there.
Yeah, that's interesting. I worry about Morikawa's ability to hit the ball long enough to be good here, and we'll see. But what were you going to say, Andy?
Yeah, and it's funny how, like, we were talking a little off the air about just how many options there are, and you start looking like the 3-ball groups. There's these 5-person groups where I think
Yep.
you can probably find some value, even if it's just there's 2 guys in there you think are a little overvalued. All you have to do is you can get some big prices. And when you're betting stuff at 2, 3 to 1, you don't have to win every time. You can win at a much lower rate at some of these plus prices. And going back to the Bubba and Spieth stuff too, that's such a big thing that comes into play when I get to talking. Like, the outright market and the head-to-head markets are correlated, but they're not the same. Like, there's 0.0% chance I would bet Jordan Spieth at this number. But again, like, I'm kind of in the same headspace as fading Rory. Like, I do have a little bit on a Spieth over Rory bet, just because I don't think those numbers are quite right. And then, yeah, Bubba too. Somebody I like, the Canadian Mr. Connors. I took him over Bubba. That's a matchup, probably one of my favorites this weekend. And yeah, I'm not sure. Like, it's tough to say such a professional and a major champion like Bubba Watson is like quitting or not playing as hard as he could, but just the results aren't there. And I think maybe his name and his results here have propped him up a little. So Corey Connors is someone I love this week, and I'm getting a nice price on him too.
Yeah, you're getting a nice price there. And there is a low Canadian market out there. And like, unless Mike Weir is going back in a time machine to 2003, he's got no shot. And the other player is Mackenzie Hughes, who missed the cut in his only appearance at Augusta at 15 over par. So, like, I mean, I know Corey Connors is minus 175 in that market, but like, he finished in the top 10 last year. He made the cut comfortably the year before that. Of everything that I wrote in that column or have played, like, Corey Connors to be low Canadian is I think by far the best bet that I've made. It's got to be one guy.
Yeah, I have faded Mackenzie Hughes quite a bit when he's in matchups. I love looking down the board at some of those matchups, tournament after tournament, when they start throwing some of those guys. I usually, like, I said I'm playing a Spieth over Rory matchup. I'm actually doing Bryson over JT. I have a little bit on Bryson over JT, just price based, but normally I'm not looking up at the top of the board. I'm down there, and I do end up with a lot of Mackenzie Hughes fades. And Corey Connors, just his numbers. I look for guys who are ascending right now. And I guess maybe that could be, your opinion on that. I've taken a bunch of different data and just mashed it all together and looked for guys who are on kind of an ascension where they can't be playing bad. They need to have had a nice baseline, but it's on the way up. Like, their recent form coming into this is nice, and it's ascending from where they were over the past 3 to 6 months. Corey Connors is a guy who fits that for me. So, I mean, are you looking at, how far back are you looking at form, especially with kind of a weird year with some tournaments that got placed in different spots, and the fact that we just had match play too. So
I think playing well matters coming in this year, but I think more so than not, especially at Augusta National, like, course history is so strong. So I do want guys who have played well here in the past, or at least have gotten a couple of go rounds to kind of get the idea. You talked about, like, recent ascendancy and an arc going up. Victor Perez was someone that I found who I liked it, like, not to win, but like, he was not plus 900 to finish in the top 10 and plus 350 to finish in the top 20. This is a guy who he played in the fall last year, so he got those sight lines down, like I mentioned before. And then he played great at the match play, and he finished top 5 really this year in the Saudi Arabia event. So, yeah, can he win? No, but it wouldn't surprise me to see him in his second go around. You talked about the plus numbers and all these underdogs in these markets. Like, plus 350, you hit one of those, and you're in pretty good shape, where you basically got to lose 4 more to come out on the negative.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Have you started to look through? Go ahead, Andy.
It got me thinking too. Like, I've read some articles, and there's a people that I can't think of the guy's name. He breaks it down nice. It's basically like he starts with it's similar to how Ken Lockie Lockerson has done things with awards, and you know him. It's just the way he does awards stuff where he starts crossing off all the people who just can't win this award,
Yep.
whether it's MVP or what. And I love that approach. And there's this article, I'm going to have to find it. I'll retweet it this afternoon, where he just starts crossing off. Here's people that can't win the Masters. You know, you start with the amateurs, you start with some of the old guys, and then he gets a little more granular into some data. And it's like, here it is. Here's like the last, I think it was 23 people he broke it down to that can win the Masters. And, you know, it's tough because there's guys I like that aren't in that group, and it's, you know, that's not gospel. It's pretty close though. But I realize the unlikely, you know, somebody being 100, 150 to 1 winning the Masters. And I do like that as far as if you have a guy that's longer odds, I think those derivative markets are probably the best look at a tournament like this. This isn't Valero where, you know, somebody that's like 250 is going to be competing on Sunday. Like, definitely, you know, it feels like a waste of money betting somebody that's really long odds when there's nice top 20, top 10. Even some of the new legal books have these top 30, top 40 markets, which aren't so bad. A little tougher in a field like this, obviously with only 80 guys, but the top 20 markets, I mean, is that something you're attacking more, since it feels like it's a top heavy market?
And you're looking for top 20, like two guys I looked at were Lee Westwood, who was plus 125, and Hideki Matsuyama, who was plus 130. Hideki's never going to putt well enough to win one of these majors, but he's been in the top, 5 or top 20, like 5 of the last 6 years here. He strikes the ball well enough to make some birdies here and score well on the par 5. So he's going to, just by that alone, be around in the top 20. And Lee Westwood, every now and then, look, a career resurgence with the recent runner-up finishes. He was second as recently as 2016 to Danny Willett when he won here. So I think Westwood and Matsuyama at plus money, in addition to the Victor Perez bet that I mentioned for top 20, were a couple of plays that I certainly looked at there.
You know, especially I don't hate Westwood. I feel like I was looking at that the other day. I think he's got like second or third in every major. He's had a lot of like a top 5 finish wouldn't be out of the question here for sure. Especially
he's got
this is about as well 12, as we've seen him.
Yeah, he's got 12 top 5 finishes in majors, and again, whether it's here or maybe at a place like Royal St. George when the Open Championship goes there in July. Like, how often have we seen like a guy, like whether it's been like Jimmy Walker or Darren Clark or even Sergio here a couple of years ago, a guy who was chasing that first major for so long and never got it, and then complete afterthought, downside of their career, it popped up and they had one magical weekend. And I hope Westwood might have a moment like that, because he's a guy who's been so agonizingly close so many times, and he's overcome some personal things where in his personal life, and he's back on it, and he's playing so well, and he's such a good mental spot right now. I'd like to see him break through and win one of these.
Yeah, that would be great. Have you started to look through, you know, it is a major, there's a lot of more interesting derivatives. I'm going to start looking through some of that myself, and I was poking around a little bit last night. The one that was interesting, and I was curious to hear both of your thoughts, will the winner be playing in the final group off one in the last round? So basically, will the winner be, you know, top 2 going into the final day? Yes or no comeback is, I guess, the other way you kind of look at that. I'm seeing plus 185 for the no. I thought that was kind of intriguing. Do you guys think it'll be close enough on Sunday that maybe that'll be interesting bet?
Yeah, I think it will be close enough on Sunday. And excuse me. I think a lot of times, like, this is not necessarily a chasers type course where you're not going to come from super far back to win a lot of these. So it's, I mean, the final group maybe, but the final like 2 groups is certainly most likely, because very, very, very rarely will you see a guy be in a position where he'll come out of nowhere and shoot 66 on Sunday and win. The one other, actually, I should just let Andy answer first before I go into anything else.
No, I think I agree with you, and it kind of goes back to what you spoke about earlier. I don't think we're going to see a DJ at 20 kind of round, or a kind of tournament, rather, 4 rounds. I think that if the final score is in that 8 to 11 range, you have a much tighter distribution of scores. There's a better chance. I mean, you could have like 3 guys tied going into Sunday with 2 or 3 guys sitting a shot back. That would be really, conducive to somebody in the second or even third group back getting there and winning it if we do have a tight bunch of scores. So I guess I kind of like that.
Yeah, and obviously we can't answer the question now as to who it's going to be in the lead or who it's going to be chasing. But I would think will the winner come from the final group? No, with plus 185. That seems like a pretty good play. Because again, we're not going to be going off of split tees and threesomes like we were in 2019 when Tiger won. It's going to be pairings, and you're looking at potentially 4, 6 guys against 2. I'm willing to take a chance there.
Anything else stick out to you? Did you guys find anything interesting in those kind of goofy markets?
Yeah, I did. I found will there be a hole-in-one on 16 was plus 110, and will there be a hole-in-one during the 4th round was plus 138. And there have been a ton of fireworks on 16 on Sunday. I think there have been like 9 holes-in-one in the last 6 tournaments on 16. So like it's just something at plus money where I can just imagine yourself sitting there on Sunday and all of a sudden you hear Jim Nantz say, hey, let's go to 16 and see what's up with Dylan Fratelli, who we haven't seen a shot from all weekend long. And you're like, okay, you perk up and you're like, here comes a hole-in-one or it's coming real. You know what's coming. So it's just a little bit of a fun bet to kind of perk up when you see something like that.
Yeah, I've bet hole-in-one, yes, like every Masters that I've bet, and it's gotten more expensive over the years. And I think, you're right. They've really crushed. I think what's the other one? Is it 6 and 16? And there's it's coming on a few different holes, but yeah, that is always fun when they do cut coverage to somebody who's like, they're finishing up almost right as the leaders are starting. Like, oh, this guy's like 15 shots back. What are they showing him for? And something's coming. That is always exciting. So. All right. Well, before we let you go here, just give me your, price be damned, not, betting aside, don't worry about the betting markets and the outright prices. Who do you think wins it this year?
I like Justin Thomas, and he's been kind of a popular pick. I don't think there are many guys on tour right now who have the ability to kind of grind through Thursday and Friday when, like I said, I think the scores are going to be really high, I guess I should say, as opposed to low on Thursday. I think the course is going to bite back, and I'd be surprised if the lead was anything better than maybe 4 under par after the first round. But JT has the ability to grind through and then go super low on the weekend. Obviously, he won the Players. He's in a good spot right now. He's improved his performance every year at the Masters that he's played. And I think his familiarity, and there really isn't a better iron player out there on tour. And I'll give you Colin Morikawa in that conversation, but a guy who can just throw darts into greens, especially when they're going to be fast and firm. He's played this course like that before. So Justin Thomas, price be damned. I think you could probably still get him around 11 or 12 to 1, I think. So that would be, if I had to pick one guy to win and finish top 10, it would be JT.
I like, especially with what he did at the Players. And if we're going to try to use that as everybody has different comps they want to use to this course. I truly don't think there is a comp to this course.
No, I don't either.
No,
it's tough, but some people say concession, some people say Riv.
Some people say Riviera too. Yeah. Which I don't get.
Really. I don't fully get some of the comps, but well, I'm looking forward to it. Obviously you are too. Very excited for not only just a really good tournament, but the fact that we can watch it. Like, you can watch so much golf. We're going to watch so many holes. Thanks a lot for your time, Chris, and good luck with all your bets this weekend.
Thanks. Same to you guys.
See you, Chris.
Perfect. All right. Well, we'll get a few tennis and basketball bets before we run out for the day, but you can check Chris out, obviously, on ESPN and follow him at Chris Felica on Twitter. Baseball went bad for me yesterday. Max Scherzer It's just like anything else I've bet this last few weeks. Max Scherzer was garbage. He gave up like 4 home runs in the start. He was supposed to be the ace, but
Early season
actually,
jitters.
early season jitters. It was close down to it. So, just a couple picks from Alex to close the day out before we. I'm not calling it a full week. We'll still do shows, but I'm fully in
We'll
relax mode.
Be here, but again, like I mentioned
Yeah.
yesterday, like it's just get used to this side of my face because that's where the Masters will be, and I'll be talking about whatever it is we're talking about. But we do have a couple picks in the association, though, Andy. Got the Warriors last night. That was fun. Giannis stepped out for us. We even got some money line. That parlay that I joked about of Spieth, Golden State, and Serrano at 48-1. I may or may not have put that in and may or may not now have Spieth at a very good number. But that was nice. Those are always kind of fun, even though
the closing line value on that was massive.
In a sense.
It closed to like 2, didn't it? 2.5?
Sorry. Yes. The Golden State Warriors money line. You're right. It's tough for me to consider that though, because it was an injury thing. Anyway, tonight, 2 plays here. New Orleans is playing Brooklyn. It's tough for me to put a strong finger on Brooklyn. James Harden is out. Kevin Durant is in. In general, I think that they might struggle a little bit to, bring Durant in, again, adjust kind of their top 2 usage players. Their pace has been down. So I stayed away from a full team over here. A full game over here, and instead looked at New Orleans team total over. Zion Williamson is healthy. Yes, Brandon Ingram might possibly be out, but either way, I think Zion Williamson is going to have a great night tonight. I'm going to look at some of his props later this afternoon. One of the things that New Orleans does very well, attack the boards. Brooklyn has been very suspect in that area, even with adding LaMarcus Aldridge. He does a nice job, but guys like Adams and Williamson are going to kind of push him around, and I think they're just going to have a great night on the glass. This total looks low to me for a team that's scoring, I think, average a little over 115 a night, so happy to grab the over 112 here, despite a few concerns maybe around the pace of the game, Andy.
Yeah, I dig it. I like it when you get team totally on me.
Charlotte, Oklahoma City, under. So we got to make up for I had to do the over first. You guys would feel good. Now I come back on the under. Andy will be bummed here. But Charlotte unders have been very good the last week and a half or so. With LaMelo Ball out, with Gordon Hayward out, they're really losing a lot of firepower. Oklahoma City continues to be without Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Al Horford, and a handful of other guys. Dort's even out tonight. It's just a really roughshod group of guys that are playing. This is a low total. As we've mentioned before, low totals have done very well towards the under, and my numbers have this at an under. I have this closer to 211, almost 210 myself. So happy to grab under 214, even under 213 would be good. So a couple looks for us in the association, Andrew.
And Charleston rolls on. Bogota is pretty much Bogota. I would say Bogota because it sounds like Bovada, maybe.
Or Borgata.
But the Borgata, Bogota. Either way, that's half those matches are underway. So
WTA A Bogota.
We will head to Charleston. We have a couple little picks, including a double stack with our girl.
Go back to an old favorite. But before we get there, Marie Buzkova is a short favorite here. Again, we're in Charleston on the green clay. So, yes, it's clay, but, kind of a mix of hard court when I'm starting to look and evaluate a few of these things. She's playing Aya Tomljanovic, a talented Australian, but Buzkova much better than Tomljanovic. Honestly, on either surface, Tomljanovic also struggling to start this year. Buzkova playing some really nice tennis. So happy to grab her at minus 115. I'd play this up, frankly, to minus 120. Even minus 125 is probably okay. I think that she'd be closer to minus 130, almost minus 135 myself. And without further ado, we're back with Coco Gauff overs. We waited around. She did play yesterday, and I was a little nervous with the clay, and then Pironkova is an older player who, from a motivation perspective, might have been questionable. But Coco looked well in her match. This is the second round. Samsonova also played nicely. I think it'll be, again, very competitive. This should be 21.5. It's 20.5. Even 21's okay, guys. So, don't feel bad about having to take 21 if it's cheaper than the 20.5 you got. If you can't get 20.5 at standard juice, and the over 2.5 sets, again, plus 175. I have this like plus 150, maybe plus 155. If I tweak things, I can get it out that far, but continues to be a lot of value. And Coco Gauff overs. Let's do it again.
Let's do it again. That's my favorite thing. I hope she wins. Hopefully she wins the third set. Like I feel like you should almost bet her opponent to win 2-1 for a little bit too, just so I'm rewarded in case golf loses and I can't do this again tomorrow. So, all right.
That's true. That's a good hedge against her losing.
That's like a good hedge against not getting another bet on it. No. All right. Well, we will be on during Masters coverage tomorrow, like I said. So watch for us watching golf while we're playing. But yeah, I will be blogging with everything I get to. Like the rest of my day will be betting all these markets that I've been digging into for 2 days. I'll be putting a blog out on BetSperts. You can find that in the content tab. And we'll be doing some special master stuff tonight on the deep dive as well. So thanks for the hang, and we'll catch you tomorrow.
Very excited to listen to the deep dive with J-Maz, guys. Make sure you check that out as well.
Oh, yeah. We'd already done some master stuff earlier this week. We hit it early.